art means a lot of things to different people, and everybody sees something different. So if I see something different than what you see on these walls in this stuff, then that's how I'm seeing it. My family is from the Caribbean, mostly Puerto Rico, but also St. Kitts, Grenada, and I have relatives in Aruba that I haven't met yet. And hopefully my band will get a chance to play at that big jazz festival there. And because one of the guys in my group, his brother lives there, and I've been dying to get us down there. But anyway, so I'm going to probably take you some different places in the Caribbean, because the Caribbean is not all about pretty pictures. It's one part of the Caribbean, because we love pretty pictures, and we love dance, and we love partying, and what have you. But the pretty pictures that you see is only a tip of the iceberg. The reason there's so many people from the Caribbean, or any of these, all the stuff here about the people that are being held up at the borders, is because their economies have been completely desecrated horrendously. Puerto Rico, they completely turned it into a monoculture, which completely destroyed the soil and what have you. So the sugar that they put there, the sugar and the coffee, which became the only two crops, destroyed the whole economy. The bauxite in Jamaica destroyed the economy. I mean, it's a horrible thing that's happened, because the Caribbean is a beautiful place. And if it wasn't destroyed, believe me, that's where I'd be right now. But unfortunately, my family wound up in the concrete jungles of New York, and here I be. So, where do I start? There's so many places to start from. Okay, the title poem in my book is called With Every Step I Take, and I mentioned Cortijo. The same thing that happened to Big Mama Thornton happened to Cortijo. He's like a major superstar in the Caribbean and Latin America, and as a result of being darker than the Ace of Spades, he did not get the acclaim that he was due until he was dead. Then he had one of the biggest funerals ever held in the Caribbean. Anyway, so with every step I take, my feet stand in dreams, run circles around the lakes in my mind, climb tropical hillsides inside forests, hidden behind the tenements, and dance all sweaty, a passionate urban exorcism wrapped in Cortijo magic. My feet swim through concrete and drink the wind. They sing low-down blues tunes and pray with jazz bands. My feet are poems. Every inch on my road to chant a sacred inspiration, a song, and with every step I take, I create and create and create and create. Papi was a Garveyite, and people, there's so many misunderstandings about who Garvey was and what he stood for. But Garvey, when he started doing what he did and changed the world, it's never been the same since him, he was not accepted either in the Caribbean or in the States. His first paper came out in Costa Rica was in Spanish. So he's very, very, to this day, the biggest Garvey celebration happens in Costa Rica every year. So anyway, that's part of your homework assignment to go and check. So this one is a short word in Spanish and in English. It's called Diáspora Negra, which is one of my books coming out pretty soon. It means Black Diaspora. And if you can't understand the Spanish, listen with your heart. It's about time people started listening to each other. So anyway, escuchando a la vista de los vientos africanos, los más viejos de los viejos, de mis bisabuelos, tiro nuestro idioma en las aguas. Mejor una comida para los tiburones en el mar que un juguete diversado para los estafadores. Marionetas en el juego de la esclavitud en estos días. Hablo con los espíritus de mis antepasados y me dicen, silencio, hija. Escuche el ritmo con el alma entera y me dicen, en este océano de la existencia, el ritmo es un salvavidas. Y escucho, vivo escuchando a los ritmos africanos en todo y me encuentro un espíritu sempiterno. Un espíritu nacido de recuerdos en los huesos, mi herencia renacida. En cualquier país de mi diáspora negra, todavía presente, este espíritu irrompible, el latido de la cultura, siempre cochicheo, compartiendo regalos de secretos ancestrales, y hablando con los pies y bailando con el encanto, Black Diaspora. Listening to the warning in the African winds, the oldest of my great-grandparents threw our language in the waters. Better a meal for the sharks in the seas than a trivialized game for the sharks that walk the land. Pawns in the ugly game of slavery. These days I speak with the spirits of those who went before me, and they tell me, be quiet, child. Listen to the rhythm with your entire soul. And they tell me, in the ocean of existence, rhythm is a life jacket, and I listened. I live listening to the rhythms of Africa in everything, and I find myself an everlasting spirit, a spirit born of memories hidden deep in my bones. My heritage reborn, my black diaspora is wherever I am, always present. This unbreakable spirit is the heartbeat of my culture, always whispering, sharing secret ancestral gifts, and dancing through my songs and speaking through my feet. And I guess there's people dancing on the walls over here, and I guess that's what I wanted to read for you for that one. It's interesting. During slavery, they didn't just take folks to the Caribbean. They took them to Mexico, which had the first major slave revolt, which trickled to the Caribbean, then trickled to the state. And in fact, one of the famous American slave revolts. I'll think of it if I'm having a senior moment. Anyway, he was originally from Haiti and became one of the biggest slave revolts in this country. But it was a whole series of things that happened. Most of the breaking farms were in the Caribbean. Breaking farms meaning to reduce us to rubble, they thought. Unfortunately for them, in the Caribbean, we are the major population. So they didn't break everybody. And so there's still some of us who still hold on to who we are. And it shows up in a lot of places. There's a thing over there, and they talk about San Lazaro, which was Babalu Aye, the African god. Downstairs, a guy in the movie, they have a movie and they translate things. So they translated different African gods, and some of them you didn't even know you were praising. Afro Blue is basically based on prayer to Obatala. So it's like they really tried to destroy the culture. At one time in my life, I was married to a guy from Nigeria, but he stayed there forever. When I got there, I found that how much we really retain. You want to see some real African culture, go to your local Pentecostal church on Sunday, and it's there. The people can play games with this, but we didn't lose who we are. We just translated it and transformed it, like in that poem where the Garifan guy said, we throw our culture in the ocean so that other snakes won't steal it and turn it into somebody else, to turn us into somebody else. So this one is called Elixir of Nzinga. And for those of you who don't know who Nzinga is, there were two Nzingas, by the way, Queen Nzingas, who were no joke. And I guess basically I use it as what they call a double entendre, because if a black woman starts crying, you're in some serious trouble. So, army sailed oceans, riding inside the indescribable waves of my uncontrollable tears, my tears, transplanted African tears, the spice that put the soul in soul food, the inescapable key, our spiritual fuel, the diet that fired up Chief Osceola, caused the Seminole Wars, legal slave traders stealing his wife was the real reason, stealing his soulmate, his woman, the final straw. It was my tears. Fed on hundreds of invisible conductors on the ever-moving Underground Railroad, from quiet Quakers to the loud fervor of John Brown, to the proud, invincible determination of that beautiful no-quitting Sister Harriet Tubman. My African tears fed on, ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. Swallowed, digest, and converted all that pain, that terrible weight, that inhumane burden, that hole in the soul, the secret of our heat and our cool, when society stone cold, strong, healing waters, and Nzinga's elixir, stronger than dread, put a damper on the handcuffs and fear, and cleansed and freed our hearts and fed our souls from Suriname to Trinidad to Curaçao to Ain't No Stopping Us Now, Mississippi, fueled Jamaica's Granny Nanny, El Negro Palucho, Argentina, Colombia's Benco Viejo de Palenque, and Haiti's Toussaint Louverture. We swam through hell on that ocean of tears, at times those sorrows so loud, even the night screamed and the clouds cried and the rain fell down from the sky red with blood. These tears have irrigated millions of acres of cotton, coffee, yucca, breadfruit, and sugarcane. They've seasoned your grandma's greens, Titi's finger-licking lechon, and Uncle Lalo's curried shrimp. They are in the sweet taste of flan callaloo and every piece of coconut bread and all the wheat that you eat. These tears have followed you from the favelas in Brazil to Haiti's Lavalas, fertilize the anger hidden between the tired smiles of every after-hour juke joint in Cantinas de Solar, in Bob Marley's mysticism and Estevanico's so-called discoveries and Beethoven's remarkable symphonies, La Bomba, Borinqueña de Lo, Rafael Cepeda, and the deceptive revelry of Batucada and Mardi Gras, ain't no secret. David Walker, Don Dada, and Zumbia Palmadas got drunk on my tears. It was my tears that quenched the furious thirst of Nat Turner and put the power behind all those funny jokes. Comedy, a costume, a disguise, a clever shield, the deceptible watery mask of Moms Magley and Richard Pryor, and Zinga's elixir. A transplanted medicine, a metaphysical ladder. These tears lifted our soul, lubricated the throats of Marcus Garvey and Fannie Lou Hamer, energized the creative will of Arturo Schoenberg, and the Schoenberg Museum grew up on the hard-earned roof of the foundation of historical bricks formed by years and tears, and Zinga's elixir. Our tears, our sacred tears. Wherever we go, we have taken you with us each and every day. Every stitch of my clothes is wet with my crying for you. You are our soul food, the key to our mystique. You are our fuel, Africa. You have covered the whole world swimming in our tears, singing and dancing and praying and laughing in our tears. But I wonder, Mama, Mama, Africa, will you ever, have you ever cried for us? Sometimes I feel like I was just one big shot. So where does that bring us? You have millions of folks from Caribbean backgrounds, including some folks who don't even know that they were. You start tracing, they find out folks in Mississippi have relatives in Honduras and in Puerto Rico and Cuba and what have you, because before you were here, you were there, believe me. They tried to whip all of the fire out of you in the Caribbean. It didn't work, thank God. This is called Homegrown Como Mango, and I saw this over here. I mean, I'm sure they meant something different, but what I saw over there was, they used to be called in the Caribbean La Marca, in the Black Caribbean, Spanish-speaking Caribbean. La Marca was we call the brand, the brand, and it was like a curse word, La Marca. And that's what I thought of when I saw this. And I also thought of, because we think of things, every island and what have you, the games that get played, we all try to claim whatever thing, it's ours. We did Americanize so much, everything has to start with us, which is a big American thing. But anyway, so Mango, of course, I assumed that the Mango was from the Caribbean, maybe from Mexico, but it had to be, maybe Puerto Rico especially. But no, found out the Mango comes from Malaysia. Now, if you go and you study Martin Luther King, bless his soul, he has one thing that I can't remember where he talks about these people with all the English only and all this other nonsense. When he talks about 90% of everything you use here comes from somewhere else, whether it's a soap you bathe with or what have you. So I started thinking about that, and I thought maybe, because even though they took us here, and people will always talk about all those folks from the Caribbean, they stand off, because we want to keep who we are alive. It's not that we stand off, we like to dance certain kinds of music, and you're welcome to dance with us, because we can do the boogaloo just as well as you can. But I ain't going to give up my mambo for the boogaloo. So anyway, so this is called Homegrown Como Mango, and it's dedicated and it's inspired by that, as well as some homework for you. Bookman, all these people you should know about. Bookman, Harriet Tubman, Esteban Montejo, Granny Nanny, Aguevana, and Zumbi de Palmada. I am the ghost. That dirty little secret, a big-mouthed, obstinate, undefeated secret, a bold and brazen secret that refuses to behave or disappear. I hide in the shadows of the worst of your nightmares and swim in the despicable depths of the unspeakable, the disgraceful, insatiable bloodlust. I come swaggering, like the proud silence of all those hard heads that couldn't be unhinged. Strong folks that wore the only arrogance they were allowed on road after road after road after road after road to a perverse circus only to be lynched. I am the corpse, the unstoppable spirit, and nothing and nobody can unstop me, and nothing and nobody can stop me, and nobody can hold me down for so long. I keep on kicking the tops off coffins, forever climbing up out of playgrounds born of ignorance, covered by quicksand on top of colored olden graveyards. I am the ghost, the reincarnation of bodies beaten bloody, castrated, raped, and burned alive without ever giving an inch. Dismemberment. a weird form of entertainment, an adrenaline rush for the soulless. I am the ghost. I'm more terrifying than the boogeyman's wicked stepmama. I vomit blood-curdling screams for all those that wouldn't, couldn't, and didn't, just so we can watch their cowardly murderers scream. Watch their fear as our aunts and uncles dance. Yes, we dance, we dance, we dance, and I'm not ashamed to admit we dance, blissfully dance, dance all up in the face of an insanity born to self-destruct. I was made in America. Don't have to waste my precious time trying to get even. I have nothing more to give to this madness but my absence, and if I didn't learn anything else from my ancestors, they taught me. Our greatest revenge is in the creative magnificence of our stamina. My revenge is knowing that we came through it all and landed on our feet. Real revenge is knowing I'm just one of the many, one of America's millions of 100% homegrown success stories. And from my seat, success is tasting mighty sweet. Sweet like banana and pigeon peas, avocado and breadfruit, guava and coconut bread, melaza, maíz, and callaloo. There might be times when we're going to have to fall, but we're coming back strong, a bold and brazen secret that refuses to behave or disappear. We are the ghosts reborn, ever moving forward, and still we sweet, 100% homegrown, dulce, dulce, como mango, como yo. And it's like mango, like me. Thank you. How much time do I have?
You got time. It's only 5:24. You got time.
Okay, well, the 5:24, that means what, I got 5 minutes?
You've got like 10 minutes left.
Okay, well then, because I really wanted to do something, because they play games, a lot of games that get played, and it breaks my heart. I mean, one of the many curses that came from slavery was the color caste system. And it's really done horrible things. And the people born in cities think they're superior to people born in the country, regardless of whether it's Mississippi or if it's Utuado or what have you, or, you know, and we play this stupid game, for the reality is, if it wasn't for those country folks, it wouldn't exist. I wouldn't have, if I was there, I wouldn't have picked no cotton. Yes, you would. They'd knock you upside your head with a bullwhip. You picked more cotton than the dog got fleas. Anyway, I was thinking about that, and I wrote this one as a result, myself and a person you should see, he's right in the Bay Area, Jorge Molina. Jorge Molina is what they call a sambo, another word, talking about things getting completely turned around. Sambo, the word sambo or sambos, I consider the samba, is what a black Indian mixture in the Caribbean and Central South America and what have you, when the blacks and Indians got together and they ran away and became cimarrones, those were sambos. His family is from Peru, and we did a concert together in the Mission as part of the map. I got a big standing ovation. The concert was basically on after slavery. It ended in Peru and Puerto Rico, and we've got, you know, we're feeling real good. We walk outside the door, and there's these two creatures out there talking about, they were so sickening, people of color talking about slavery, and especially, forgive my language, that fat black bitch. Ooh. So I didn't know whether to write something about these people, because one of the things they said, that we were so well educated that Jorge and I would never even stand next to an old sweaty, nasty, dirty person right out the fields. So this poem in Spanish, the title is Acércate, tu sudor es el perfume que me da la fuerza, or Come Closer, your sweat is a perfume that makes me strong. So I'm going to first do it in Spanish and then in English, and what can I say? I want to thank you for your ears. Look for deeper meanings, whether it's here in this place, in this museum, or wherever you go, because there's always double and triple meanings. And despite all of the things that people say, whether it's people promoting this religious thing, that religious thing, or what have you, Papa used to always say that the Creator is too big for any one house of religion, for any one philosophy, and there's room enough for all of us. So anyway, I said it right there. Oh, that's what I also, and in English translation, for those who don't speak Spanish, another reason to learn to speak, especially Black Spanish, there's only one way to say black woman in English, but in Spanish we have so many different ways of saying it. And so it doesn't, the wordplay doesn't come so much translate, but hopefully you'll get the message. Negrona, moreno milagrosa, acércate. Te veo como un espíritu ancestral que me persigue. Siempre te veo morena, reina bendita de mis sueños y todos mis deseos, acércate. Te veo negra, sudor, en la cara sudor, en los ojos sudor, en el corazón tu sudor, una ofrenda. Un licor, pasálvano, amazona indescriptible, eres tú, siempre tú eres. Criadora eterna de sueño, atrevida, indominable, dueña de la esperanza. Y todas mis mañanas, acércate negra, leona de las zafras, lágrimas en la cara, lágrimas en las manos, lágrimas con sabor en amenazas, tu sacrificio escrito en el alma, te veo mi prieta. Tú eres la más preciosa, nuestra riqueza. No hay nadie como tú, realeza trabajando con una esclava negrona preciosa, vivo nadando en tus lágrimas. Y tomo el sudor de tu sacrificio, yo soy la fruta de tu trabajo y orgullo, negra. Y todavía te veo cada día de mi vida, es nuestra belleza que me mira por tu sudor. Cada día, un otro día, para mantener una fuerza, la fuerza que eres tú en la sangre. Y con todo, con el respeto del más viejo del tiempo, te pido, negrona, sudorosa, come acércate. Come closer. Your sweat is the perfume that makes me strong. Big black woman, miraculous dark woman, come closer. I see you like an ancestral spirit that's always with me. Dark brown woman, I always see you, blessed matriarch of my dreams. All my desires, come closer. Black woman, I see you. Sweat on your face, sweat in your eyes, sweat in your heart, your sweat a sacred offering to save us. Your superhuman strength is indescribable. You, eternal creator of dreams, sassy and unbreakable, it's always you. Queen, mother of hope, and all my tomorrows, come closer to me, black woman, lioness of the sugarcane harvest. Tears on your face, tears on your hands, tears that taste like the juice of sugarcane. Your sacrifice is written on my soul. Beautiful dark woman, I see you. You are more precious than gold. You are our wealth. And there is nobody like you. Royalty, our royalty, working like a slave, big, black, beautiful, precious woman. I live swimming in your tears and proudly drink the sweat of your sacrifice. Black woman, I am the fruit of all your work and pride, and I still see you. Every day of my life, I see our beauty looking at me through your sweat. Every day, another day, just to cultivate your legacy in my blood. And with a respect that's older than time, I beg you, beautiful black woman, sweaty lady, sister lady, come closer. That poem could easily have been written for a guy, but since I was called a big fat black bitch, I had to write it from a black woman's point of view. I think I've taken more time than I'm supposed to, so I want to close off with a short one here. This one, after coming here the other day, I was thinking about some of the things in here, and something I heard some guy talking about downstairs. Another one of those people who want to be the founder of something, that we're the first of, and how he originated something. The truth of the matter is that we're just, we're part of a continuum. We're part of a continuum, and we can learn from all of the horrors that we've been through, but also some of the good things that came from the horrors. I taught a lot of my life, and I see some of my young kids, male students, come to school now with babies, and they're back, their children, teenage boys, with their children. That never happened. And I lived in Africa for a little while. It doesn't happen there, and in very few places in the Caribbean where you see something like that. And that's one of the things that was forced on us in slavery, that we were forced to deal with each other in a whole different kind of way. So those kind of things I see. But then there's the bad things. Parties here are ridiculous. This age cult, Americans are stuck on this. You go to a party, everybody's the same age. They listen to the same music. Everything sounds the same and what have you. You go to a party in the Caribbean, it's not a party unless your mama's there, your great-granddaddy, your children. And it's not that we don't have the same children. You're not going to have no child molestation because everybody's watching you. Everybody is watching you. Always watching. You're being watched by everybody's mama and daddy. And that's a good thing. It's also a good thing because it's good that the family, that's what family of praise, I said the family that plays together stays together. And one of the reasons that families are broken up so much is we don't play together that much anymore. So anyway, enough of my sermon on the mount. So I wrote this as a result of coming here the other day and him talking about that and thinking about myself as an artist. I've been an artist. I've been a musician since I was 4 years old. I started writing shortly after that, and I've been doing this all my life. And Poppy let me know that it ain't all about me. My father and mother were dancing. It wasn't all about him or my mother. It's bigger than that. And since that was my road, I have to follow that road, and I have to work to polish my work, to work at getting better at it, to make it better and better and better. And he said something I thought it was kind of silly when I was a kid. The teacher would say that, you know, the most dangerous person on earth is a frustrated artist. I thought that was funny until I got older and became a history buff. Check your history. The most dangerous person on earth is a frustrated. Look, let's start with him. He was a frustrated artist. That's all he wanted to do was paint. That got beat out of him. Machiavelli, Marquis de Sade, we can go on to Lucretia Borgia. They're all frustrated artists. And Poppy would say, if you have a gift and you don't use the gift might use you, and you might not like the way it uses you. So I choose the word, use the gift, and so this is called just a work in progress. This thing that we call life is a tiny dot on the Creator's easel. And we are just a small part of an incomprehensible work of art, possibly an incomplete masterpiece. An inescapable creative passion. We are an artistic exercise, a hopeful experiment, a work in progress. Creation speaks through us, deliberately disguised in the mystical maze of poetry, music, drama, and dance. And through its expression, we are made whole. Thank you for listening to my words. Anything you want to say? So dark, so wait.
Yeah, are there any questions from y'all about process, about poem?
Yes, ma'am.
I really appreciated that last poem. I felt like my whole soul stirring, the one with the big black beautiful woman. But I wanted to ask for the ones that you had that were bilingual, like which version did you write first?
The ones that are in Spanish came first.
Okay.
That's why I read them first. So whatever the poem, whatever language it comes to me, that's the one that comes first.
Okay.
And sometimes it comes in Spanglish, which is like Ebonics, or sometimes it comes in English, you know, and sometimes it comes in Spanish. So whichever comes first, that's what it gets read in first.
Okay.
And our poetry series, I think she passed out some flyers. If you don't have one, please come. We're known as the oldest bilingual series in the East Bay, but it should be called a multilingual, because we've had over 20 different languages.
Wow.
And with as crazy as things are, it's time to cut the crap and start listening to each other. The reality is, when you lose a language, the reason you have things like Ebonics or Tinglish or Chinglish or Spanglish or what have you, is because there's things that don't translate. It's constantly, people talk. I remember I was working in this job, and this woman came with something I was wearing. She said, "Ooh, girl, good googa mooga, that stuff looks good to me." I mean, good googa mooga is not in any dictionary. I know what she's talking about. She's talking about a concept that doesn't translate. It doesn't translate. So we make up words and sounds to cover that trend. And when you lose a language, any language, you lose that way of looking at the universe. And part of listening to each other's languages, as you learn more about not only those people that are speaking those languages, you may learn something about yourself, about concepts you had no words to express. And it's really important. So all this nonsense, English only, and people, it's a joke. English itself is a bastard. It's made up of 20 different languages. You know, let's be real about the situation and start listening to each other, because we are in some serious trouble if we don't. Anyway, that's enough. Anyway, anybody else?
Pidgin is now a language. It's an official language.
Good.
Of porpoises.
Good. They're getting ready to make Haitian Creole. They're going to finally, because the French fought really hard on making sure it never got. But I mean, it's not French, believe me.
Yes.
I have enough Haitian friends. I was born in Brooklyn, but I was raised in Harlem. I have tons of Haitian friends. That is not French, believe me. And so they're finally going to be registered as a language. How dare these people?
Wow.
You know. But they try to stamp it all out, but it's not going anywhere, because the American, this monoculture, they mashed up this stew, and they lost every part of their culture, while they steal everybody else's. So they want us all to join that club. I don't think that we should match up any. The beauty is in the difference. There's beauty in the difference. The color cast system and all these other things is crap. There's beauty in the difference. And once we can get past that nonsense and support the beauty in the difference. We had one of our poetry series, we had 4 different Muslim languages and 4 different Jewish languages on the same thing. We had, there was Farsi, the folks from Indonesia, I forget what language they were speaking, Arabic, and there was something else. Oh, in the Philippines, from Mindanao. And we had Hebrew, Yiddish, what do they call it? The one that Spanish Jews speak. I can't even think right now. Anyway, my head. Anyway, it was 4 different Jewish languages, and in fact, so you're going to have a race war. It was a big loving. In fact, one of the guys, I loved it. He came with his grandfather's birth certificate. On the birth certificate, it said Palestinian Jew. He said we all got along. We got along fine before these nuts came in and started this madness. It's time we put all the madness aside and start listening to each other, or else we're all going to disappear. You know, quote Martin Luther King, we'll survive together or we will die together, and I'm not ready to go. So you better start listening to each other, because I'll get you if you don't. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Question. I'm actually visiting from Harlem, so.
Oh, okay. I'm on East 115th Street and First, between First and Pleasant.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes. And I'm on 126 and Fifth. So.
All right, the neighbors.
Short ride.
That's a walk.
Yeah, it's actually a walk. Thank you for sharing everything. That was so beautiful. The poems that you're reading, are they in your book, or are there no future
2 of them
book?
are in my book, because I was thinking of a couple. The one I read, De Porta Negra, is in the book, and the one about Nzinga is in the book, but the rest of the stuff is not. It's newer stuff. I have another book coming out. It's called Oaktown Mosaic, Pura Candela, or Pure Fire. But that one, a lot of the other stuff will be in there. And that other one, the last one, I just wrote that after I was here last week.
Yeah.
After listening to that Mr. Artiste, that he's discovering something new. Believe me, somebody else discovered it a long time ago, and we're just drops on the road here. At least I believe that. I'm grateful to be one of those drops on the road. So.
Do you have a mailing list, or can we purchase a book?
If you have one of those flyers I have downstairs, my name, I'll put my name on my website. It's on there.
Oh, okay.
And if you want to be on my mailing list, you can give me your email, and I can put you on. We have a listserv. It usually comes only once a month, because we made a promise to folks. But if, like, especially like we get a special gig all last minute, sometimes it'll be twice a month. Okay. But and then nobody will get your emails, and we don't. Anyways, it's interesting. I stopped using email because I've been on the radio. She mentioned I was on the radio. I've been on the radio now about 50 years, and everybody wants to be on the radio. So I get thousands and thousands, mung bean theology, child pornography, all this nonsense that I'm supposed to. And so to find the one from you, I got. In fact, they were sending me stuff from here, and I couldn't find it. Until they finally said, I said, send it and tell me as soon as you send it so I can find it. So email for me used to be a wonderful tool, but it's not anymore. So we have a listserv, and if you want to see me, go to the listserv, find out where we have a gig, and see me there. I hate electronic communication anyway. We need to talk.
Do you still DJ?
And you can buy books
Sometimes,
downstairs.
yes.
If in parties, if
they hire me. Oh yeah, we just did a thing. I just did a thing. This woman, she was awesome. I did, because of that one that I did about Saturday, my friend from Mississippi, the head of the B.B. King Museum, she saw that poem, she said, oh my God. She took it back with her to Mississippi. They do a festival down there, everybody should go to. It's called the Cotton Pickers Festival. And where they literally celebrate these people in the fields every year. And it's in 2 different parts of Mississippi. Part is at the university, and part is in Indianola. And she showed it to them. They said, bring that girl down there, because they identified with it, because it's the same story. Whether you're in a cane field, like I was talking about in the poem, or you're in the cotton fields, and I saw it's still there. And these sadistic bastards who have these places, they have machines now that can pick cotton. Is dangerous because it cuts your hands to shreds. They have machines that will do that. But no, they have people that actually doing it. At least, and it's horrible. And their hands look like those pictures you see of people that have been beat half to death, and it looks like their backs. Their hands look like something. But anyway, they have this big festival down there. It's a 2-day festival, and the end of it is a big the Cotton Pickers Ball, where all the educated people who have never been in the fields and some who have been in the fields, they come in their tuxedos and what have you. I mean, the cotton pickers come in their tuxedos and their gowns, and the other folks come dressed like cotton pickers. And part of it, I mean, it was really amazing. They have film festival. I was so honored to be there. I was the keynote speaker at that down there, and they're bringing me back, and I'm so glad. They taught me so much, and treated me so well that my band wasn't out here. I'm too old to try and find a new band. I moved to Mississippi. Those folks, they are still, all those Africanisms that we've lost. Everybody talks to everybody. Everybody. I was stuck in the bus station for a while, getting from Memphis to Indianola, and while I was there, I got all the information on Indianola, where to go eat, who not to talk to, who to talk to, everything. And by the time I got there, the folks knew I was coming. You know? So I mean, it was just all those things. Everybody's kid is everybody's kid, and everybody's grandmother is everybody's grandmother, and I like that. So it's the same thing. You go to the Caribbean in the summer, it was the same thing. You got to be at everybody's house. You got to, everybody's your mama and your daddy and what have you. And if anybody's a snake in the grass, they want to keep it in the closet because they're going to be seen by somebody is watching. So anyway, am I talking too much? Anybody else?
Any other questions?
Any other thing? Thank you so much for listening to my words.